Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, we are ready for the event.
Okay, great. KGO-TV, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is KGO-TV. How do you hear me?
Greg, we have you loud and clear. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
Thank you for that. You guys looking good today. Let's just start with progress. What are you hearing about the loss of that payload?
Well, obviously that's potentially a significant impact on operations up here, not only because of the cargo that will not be delivered now, but also the implications to the booster and implications to Soyuz launches, etc. So we're still trying to figure out what the exact impacts are going to be, what our path forward is going to be. So we're kind of in the wait and see. Up here, we're in the wait and see mindset. Obviously, there's a lot of people formulating plans and backup plans on the ground.
Down here, we've heard that, if they can't pull something together, that a couple of you guys might be coming home early. Does that affect any of you?
No, I don't think there's any chance of coming home early. There is a chance of maybe the three of us that were supposed to come back on September 8th to be delayed. So that's something that we're looking at as well.
I was watching pictures of the hurricane a moment ago. I don't know if you guys, if all of you got to see it, but what do you think of that thing, and whereabouts are you now?
Yeah, we just passed over Tahiti in the South Pacific, still heading to the southeast. It's night out this way. And I grew up on the Gulf Coast. I've seen a lot of hurricanes, and a hurricane is a scary thing no matter what angle you're looking at it from, and it certainly is. It's really big, and we saw it several days in a row, and really saw a big change evident yesterday when we passed over. It was much more condensed. It just appeared solid. It was like a big dome of solid clouds with the eye having formed really well.
Mike, I was looking at some of your photographs, and I think you tweeted one that said, "This is the best picture I've ever taken." What is it like up there, looking out, taking pictures? You feel like a tourist?
A little bit like a tourist, I guess. It's enjoying the fact of just being here. It's a lot of hard work a lot of the time, but when you get a chance to look outside, I really like to do that. And I've had fun, just a personal interest in photography, and especially the low light photography. We've got some cameras here that are really good at picking up. That picture you saw was illuminated by starlight and moonlight. That was taken at nighttime. It's a lot of fun. You can see a lot of details with the stars in the background.
Mike, I've seen your stuff too, and I've seen you playing with the new 3D camera. Do you have that thing there to show us?
Yeah, we actually do. Hold on, I'll get it out. So this is the ERB2, and it's one of the 3D cameras that we have on board, and this is the camera that we used a few weeks ago to make the first live HD 3D transmission to the ground.
It looks so light.
Yeah, it's light now. It's so light it floats.
Satoshi, they let you play with that thing at all?
Yeah, we've done some filming with it. All right, we've done some filming with it, both recorded documentation and also the live stuff that we talked about.
You think it's going to be an educational tool?
Well, I think it's certainly going to be an educational tool. I think it's a tool that we can use to help people share in the experience of living and working in space. Obviously, it's going to be very important from the educational aspects, but also, we could use this to help us with robotics, some of the fine work that we have to do outside. If we have a 3D view, it's going to help that immensely. So there's a lot of practical applications to this as well.
I'd like to ask Satoshi, what he's been working on up there.
Okay, I've been working on protein crystallization experiment. We are making cancer remedy-related protein, in particular angiogenesis inhibitor, which when cancer cells grow, the additional vessels grow around the cancer cells. So if you block that growth, then it leads to cancer remedy. So we are looking forward to the development of new medicine.
A lot of people don't know that you're a doctor.
Well,
we didn't know that either.
Because our friends don't call me doctor, so I forgot that.
They ever come to you and say, "Hey, you got an aspirin?" How much longer do I have?
Sure.
Ron, back to you. Besides taking pictures, what are you working on these days?
Well, right now we're in the pretty much the full utilization mode of the space station. So we've at any given time, there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 experiments going on, and we're involved in a lot of that activity. So a good part of our day across the whole station, on all 6 crew members, is doing some of the science that this amazing orbital research facility was built to support. So that's been very rewarding.
How long it's quite huge. How long does it take you to traverse from one end of it to the other?
Well, we haven't done any races yet or tried to set any new world records, but I bet you it's probably it's not a straight line, so everything is not lined up in a straight line. There's different modules off in different directions. So if you were going to actually go and fly through every module in the space station, it would take at least 5 minutes or maybe more. But if you were just going to go from the front end to the aft end, just a couple of minutes of fast flying through those modules will get you there.
Let me ask Mike this. I never cease to marvel at, ever since I was a kid, to marvel at what NASA does. And, Apollo, the shuttle program, now ISS. How about you guys? You ever stop being amazed?
There's moments, there's times when it's work. Because right now I've spent all morning working on a carbon dioxide removal system that has a little trouble with it. So I've torn into it, and I'm, putting some jumper wires in to work around a piece of non-functional equipment inside of it. And you forget you're in space except when your tools start to float away from you. But I think like all of us, I grew up watching the space program in the early days and dreaming, what if? Would such a thing be possible? And the answer is yes, it is. And we know that we're some of the most fortunate people, on or off the planet to be living our dream every day. And this is a fantastic experience, and I'm making the best of it.
Thanks, you guys, for taking the time to talk to me. Really appreciate it.
Station, this is Houston.
Great talking to you. Thanks.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the KGO TV portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from space.com.
Station, this is Tariq Malik from space.com. How do you hear me?
Hi, Tariq. Great to talk to you. Welcome aboard the International Space Station.
Great. Well, thank all of you you for having some time to talk with us today. I wanted to let you know we did ask our readers if they had questions for you, and the first one that came back, you probably will be expecting, was the first one I was going to have. We all saw the Failed Progress launch tomorrow, and we were wondering what your thoughts were on it, if it caused any concerns on resupply or Ron, your return to Earth. Can you give us an insight on what you're thinking?
Well, there's a lot of considerations to think about in light of the Progress failure. First is what about the cargo that was on there? What we have to make do with now without that cargo. What are the impacts of that? Was there time critical things on there that we needed to get on board? Are there things that we were really running short on? So we're looking at all those things, but probably a bigger impact is the booster itself, and realizing that that's the same booster that we launched the Soyuz spacecraft on. We have a Soyuz launch coming up right now, and what's the impacts going to be to that launch, and then what is going to be the impacts to our return to Earth that is presently planned for September 8th. So all those discussions are going on right now. We don't have a lot of decisions made yet because we want to make sure that we have the right course of action, and so we're going to take a little bit of time and think about it, make sure that we have all the facts together before we go and pick on a game plan. So we're up here, we're kind of in the wait and see mindset. We are fully prepared to support whatever decisions are made. We've done a great job supplying the space station and getting ourselves ready for really continued use throughout the rest of the decade. So from a consumables point of view, I think we're sitting pretty good for a little while. So that's not a major concern at the moment.
Ron, would you welcome some extra time on the space station with your Russian crewmates if that was the case, or are you pretty eager to get back home?
Well, I mean, obviously, I would have mixed feelings. I mean, I've been away from home for a long time, but a lot of people are away from home, doing things that they believe in, and but what it would afford me is an opportunity to continue to make the best use of the time up here. I'd have more time for the science that we're doing, more time for the outreach, more time to share the experience with as many people as we can on the ground. So there's an upside and a downside, and whatever the decision is, I think it'll be the best for the program, and we're fully support it.
Thanks. The other thing on everyone's mind, at least on the East Coast here, is Hurricane Irene, and I've seen some of the amazing videos and images that you and your crewmates have beamed back down, and I'm wondering, maybe for Mike, what your impressions are of the storm itself and the impact it might have as you see it from space.
You bet, Tarek. I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Texas. I've seen a lot of hurricanes through the years. And a hurricane is a scary thing. It's certainly a scary thing when it's bearing down on top of you. It's a scary thing when you're out of town and watching it head toward your home, like Ron and I both were when Ike came ashore 3 years ago. And it's a terrifying thing from up above, too. We saw a big change in the structure of the storm over the several days that we've watched her. Especially yesterday, the differences were very pronounced. It was very uniform, kind of a dome shape to the whole thing, with the eye fully formed. We did not see the eye. You could tell where it was starting to swirl tight 2 days ago, but yesterday you could see the eye wall and down into the eye itself. So that is a powerful storm. And those are never good news when they're heading your way. So our prayers and thoughts are really with the people in her path.
Well, thank you. We're based in New York City. I know we're keeping a close eye on it as well. Some of our readers are curious just how your life is on the space station. And for Satoshi, two readers, Chris Maxwell and Adrian Ruiz, they're wondering what you miss the most about Earth, your life at home, and if you ever feel lonely up there.
Well, with regard to everyday life, I miss hot bathtub most because it's a kind of Japanese culture, and at the end of the day, to sink in a hot bathtub and relax, it's awesome. So I miss that. But living on board the station is very good because we perform scientific experiments, and we have excellent Earth view and star views. So I like working on board here.
Great. Thanks. Another question, and this might be for you, Ron, is from Tricia Harvey, and she wants to know how the aurora borealis looks from space. If it undulates like it appears to on Earth, or is it just a static glow?
Well, that's a really good question. It depends. It depends where you are in the orbit. It depends where, what part of the Earth you're over. And usually when we see auroras, we see them kind of out towards the horizon. And they're no matter where they are, they're always spectacular. And yes, they look like, dancing luminescent waves of vapor. It's just absolutely breathtaking. But I had one opportunity a few months ago where I opened up the shutters of the cupola, and I was just blown away by this view. It seemed as though we were flying through the auroras. I mean, it was just this glowing vapor all around us, and it was just absolutely spectacular. So it's it's always great to see that. Mike's taken some great photos of the auroras. So it's that's one of the fascinating things that we get to see on a fairly regular basis up here. So it's one of the joys that we have to see that.
Thanks. And this question comes from another reader, and I was actually going to ask it as well. You're several months into your increment now on the space station. You travel around the planet at more than 17,000 miles an hour, and you've already had one visiting shuttle and several months ahead. We're just wondering, first of all, how the mission has gone so far, and does it feel like the time goes a lot faster in space because you're so busy than it does when you're on Earth?
Well, yeah, it's been, I've been up here, I guess, closing on 5 months now, and it's been a very, very busy 5 months. We saw 2 shuttle missions, the undocking of a ATV. I can't even remember how many progresses have come and gone. So it's been very, very busy. We've had Soyuz docking, Soyuz undocking. But really, the main thing that this time period, I think, is important for is we saw a transition. We saw a transition from the construction of the International Space Station to full utilization of the International Space Station, and we've all been able to witness that and just see in amazement how the science that we're doing on board has just ramped up, and every day the whole space station is fully busy cranking out science, and I think that's going to lead to some really great discoveries. I think it's not only going to be a stepping stone for continued exploration of our solar system. I think it's also going to show that the research that has been conducted on board here has improved life on Earth, because it simply can't be conducted anywhere else. So seeing that and being a part of that has been very exciting. To answer the other part of the question, looking back over the last 5 months, because so much has happened, it really does seem like a long time. It hasn't gone by in the blink of an eye because so much has been accomplished. But on a day-to-day basis, though, the days you're so busy though that the days go by pretty fast.
Thanks. And perhaps for Mike, this question from Ian Garrett. He wants to know, and I think I do too, what you see from life on the station are the top 3 improvements that will be vital for say, to actually make a colony living on a space station viable. What do you really need up there all the time to make that work?
Wow, that is a really interesting question. The top 3 things we would need up here. I think, to really colonize, you'd need to have a way, I think, to grow some food. We eat a lot of the thermal stabilized food and dehydrated food, and in a lot of ways it's like camping food or military MREs. That I think some fresh food would go a long way toward improving life on here, life in space. And we get a little bit on when the cargo vehicles come. They bring some fruit and vegetables, and that's a delight to bite into a tomato, or even, believe it or not, to bite into an onion. We slice onions up into big wedges and eat them with a little bit of salt because it's a taste of Earth. Other than that, we have what we need. The window views I think are really important. If you don't have a window view, then you may as well be working, in a trailer with a zero gravity machine, which of course doesn't exist. But the windows to see the Earth, to escape just a little bit and look at places below that you dream about visiting someday as you enjoy the sights from above. I think the third thing that would be really great if you're going to colonize the space would be transporters. Transporters would be really good, so we could go home for the weekend.
Thank you so much. I think they'd be great here for Life on Earth too, Mike. I would love to stay and chat with you all day, but unfortunately I'm out of time. Thank you all, Mike Fossum, Ron Garrett, Satoshi Furukawa, for your time today, and all the best for the rest of your mission. Thanks.
Thank you. Hey, I think the last time I talked to you, I was living on the bottom of the ocean, so it's good to talk to you again.
That's right. It's great. Thank you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you to KGOTV and Space.com. Station, we are now resuming operational communications.